The hunters lose their sanity and innocence as the rising action. This shows the way children can lose their innocence in a group. The hunters hunt pigs and the beast, separate from the order that Ralph is trying to restore, raid Ralph's camp for fire, and even try to kill Ralph after he confronts them. These actions show the loss of innocence of the hunters through a group, children being manipulated into a crowd that does things that they usually wouldn't do, but do it due to the group doing it. The chant the hunters sing shows this. Kill the beast, cut his throat, spill his blood. This chant is sung by the hunters during their feast, dance, and during their hunt for Ralph in the end of the book. It shows the destabilization of the hunters' sanity as it shows their bloodlust and desire for violence, used as a chant to incite violence within the hunters, almost as if they're devolving their mental state and ridding themselves of their innocence to prepare to dance and hunt. Simon and the Pig's Head displays how a child can lose their innocence through their environment through the exposure of grim sights. The pig's head is symbolism for a grim sight a child may see in their environment, taking the innocence of any onlookers. Simon is the symbol for an onlooker, the sight of the pig's head causing him to hallucinate the Lord of the Flies, almost as if imagining the pig's head to be some evil creature is easier than facing the brutality of his environment. After finding the pig's head, Simon found he was looking into a vast mouth. There was a blackness within, a blackness that spread. This quote is after Simon finds the pig's head, and it shows the loss of innocence due to the sight. The blackness that spread being the innocence in Simon's life draining from him, the spreading blackness enveloping his mind. It clearly shows the loss of innocence due to the environment, as Simon loses his innocence due to seeing the head, something that has been added to the environment, an environment devoid of society. Ralph and Jack, through their characterization, display two more ways a child can lose their innocence. Ralph loses his innocence through grief, the loss of his friends, and thus his safety, losing first most of his followers to Jack. He then loses Simon, and lastly Piggy, finally permanently destroying his prior innocence. Piggy said nothing but nodded solemnly. They continued to sit, gazing with impaired sight at the chief's seat in the glittering lagoon. The green light and the glossy patches of sunshine played over their befouled bodies. This quote is in the chapter right after the murder of Simon, with Piggy trying to help Ralph with his grief and guilt. It displays the emotional loss a child feels after the death of a friend, showing how fragile a child's innocence is without the protection of society. Jack loses his innocence through his own actions, going hunting, starting a tribe, and committing violence on the other survivors. Jack loses his innocence by his own corruption, his own bloodlust, and his own self that couldn't come out in society, but had the opportunity to show in the lawlessness of the island. He took a step and was able at last to hit someone, stuck his fist into Piggy's stomach. This violence is during a highly tense moment after Ralph confronts Jack for letting the fire go out, angering Jack. Instead of Jack taking responsibility for his actions, he instead takes his anger out on Piggy. With the order and rules of society, this type of behavior is typically punished. However, on the island, it not only goes unpunished, it is even praised by the other hunters, causing Jack to lose his innocence as he becomes mentally unstable and focused on violence in the last couple chapters of the book.